Sing with me. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai lai.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
You did something very strange just now. Okay. Trying to fix Zoom and it's deciding it doesn't want me to. Okay, that's all right. We're good now. So Shabbat Shalom, we'll try this again. And I want to begin with a quote from Heschel, because Heschel taught us a lot about the importance of Shabbat. He said, refreshed and renewed, attired in festive garments with candles nodding dreamily to unutterable expectations, to intuitions of eternity. Some of us are overcome with a feeling as if almost all they would say would be like a veil. There is not enough grandeur in our souls to be able to unravel in words the knot of time and eternity. There is a song in the wind and joy in the trees. The Sabbath arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. Where are the words that could compete with such might? And so as we turn to lighting our Shabbat candles this evening, which I'm realizing is a little bit lower than usual, there we go, we have the chance to welcome in holiness in time. The first kind of holiness, of course, in the Torah was the holiness of time. And so I invite you to join with me with the words of this prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
And we turn to the blessing as well over the wine or the grape juice, ushering in the great joy of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. And with that, we get to dive into some of the beautiful melodies of Shabbat.
Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. Iyo, 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 oh, oh, iyo, iyo, Hine matov umanayim Shevet achim Gam yachad Hine matov umanayim Shevet achim Gam yachad. Everyone, iyo, 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 oh, oh, iyo, iyo, How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this lovely day. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How great it is for brothers and sisters to hang out on this day. Iyo, 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 oh, oh, iyo, iyo, Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nariya letzur yishenu Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nariya letzur yishenu Nekadma fanav betoda Bizmirot nariya lo Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nariya letzur yishenu Kail gadol Adonai Umelech gadol al kol Elohim Lechu neranena l'Adonai Nariya letzur yishenu La 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 lecha dodi La 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 likrat kala Ya la 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 penei Shabbat nekabela La 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 lecha dodi Ya la 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 likrat kala Ya la 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 penei Shabbat nekabela יאללה לה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה לה לקראת קלה, יאללה לה לה פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. יאללה לה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה לה לקראת קלה, יאללה לה לה פני שבת נקבלה. יאללה לה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה לה לקראת קלה, יאללה לה לה פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. יאללה לה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה לה לקראת קלה, יאללה לה לה פני שבת נקבלה. יאללה לה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה לה לקראת קלה, יאללה לה לה פני שבת נקבלה.
Greeted Shabbat with glorious music, so too do we take time in this moment to greet one another. I invite you to find someone, anyone, someone who you know well, someone who you've never met before, and take a moment just to wish them a Shabbat Shalom. This first section of the service that we've gone through, it's important. Not just because the symbols of the candles and the wine speak to us, or because the music of the Psalms lift us, but because we need a moment, a pause, a transition from the work week, the school week, the everyday of the week, to the sacredness of Shabbat. And now, as we turn to the Baruch Hu, we turn to the call to worship because the time has come to pray together, to welcome the sacredness of time that is Shabbat. We turn away all distractions, and with these words, we commit ourselves to being present, to being connected, to finding the sacred right here in this space and in our space.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv haravim.
Love beyond all space and time. Your love enfolds your people, Israel. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all of our days. May we always feel your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, who loves your people Israel.
Day and night to all your children. for it's their right, and wear them proudly as a sign upon your hand, and as a crown above your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and on your gates throughout all time. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Adonai Echad. Standing on the parted shores of his story, we still believe what we were taught. Before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it's eternally Egypt. That there's a better place, a promised land, and the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. There's no easy way to get from here to there, except by joining hands and marching together and singing yai la 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 yai la 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 la, singing yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Moshe uMiriam uBnei Yisrael, lecha anu shira besimcha rabba, ve'ameru kulam yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. La 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 la, yai la 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 la. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi chamocha bailim, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha nedar. Nora tehilot osef eleh, osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, osef eleh, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, בוקי הים לפני משה, זה אלי, זה אלי, זה אלי, אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים, אדוני, מי כמוך באלים, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש.
We were jubilant, but exhausted as we marched on from Egypt. We were thrilled to step towards the promised land, as the Micha Mocha demonstrates, and yet it was hard to move forward. Some of us lost speed after too many sleepless nights, too much worry, and too much excitement. And then from behind, the Amalekites attacked the weakest among us, those who couldn't keep up, the Torah says. On this Shabbat before Purim, we are called upon to remember the Amalekites' cowardice and cruelty. But there is something else we must remember as well, that despite the Amalekites' surprise attack, Joshua picked men to go into battle as Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of a hill. They took action as we are called to do, standing up to forces of hatred in our world, and they looked to God. The Torah teaches that whenever Moses gripped his rod, and whenever he held his hand up, Israel prevailed. But when it dropped, Amalek prevailed. Moses' hand grew heavy from exhaustion, but with the help of Aaron and Hur, he was able to steady his hand so that the Israelites would prevail and come to a place of safety. Sometimes the weight of the world feels too heavy. It is then that we turn to the support of those with whom we are in community. It is then that we offer the words of Hashkivenu, a reminder that even when times are difficult, maybe especially then, God is looking to spread over us a shalom necha.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Ve'amidenu shomereinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Ve'amidenu shomreinu lechaim Uvros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ushmar tzedenu vo'enu Uvros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ushmar tzedenu vo'enu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Ve'amidenu shomreinu lechaim Ve'shameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
We turn to the words of the Amidah, these words that traditionally we stand for in body. Now, the choreography of the service, I know so very much can speak to many of us. So if we are able to rise in body and that's how we choose to take on this part of the service, I invite you to do so. If you choose to rise in spirit, connecting to these words, taking this moment in time to offer these prayers for the heart, disconnected from everything else around you, then I invite you to rise with your soul at this time.
Adonai svatai tiftach, Adonai svatai tiftach, ufi yagid teilatecha, ufi yagid teilatecha. Adonai svatai tiftach, Adonai svatai tiftach, ufi yagid teilatecha, ufi Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום לכל השלום. 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 שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל. 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 בכל עת ובכל שעה, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בכל עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. Baruch atah Adonai Hamevarech et amo Yisrael Hamevarech et amo
So during services, someone recently just said, I really miss being in person for services and being here together. But boy, am I grateful that we can come online and that we can be in community together. I think this is a sentiment that all of us can share. And so this week's Torah portion strikes me, and I think all of us, in a different kind of way. It's a Torah portion in which God talks about the Mishkan, this holy place that the Israelites are to dwell. And Israelites come together and they create all of these materials, volunteering things from their heart to give so that this project could be completed, so that this beautiful space could be created. The Torah says, "Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham," and let them make me a sanctuary that I can dwell among them. There's a lot of interesting stuff within this phrase, and we're going to come back to it a little later. But essentially, it's all about what it means to have a holy space where each of us might find holiness. And I'd like us to think about that for a moment. Where do we find holiness? Where are there holy spaces? I asked this question online this week and received a really beautiful number of replies. Answers. 1 second, let me do this. Technology, there we go. So some people answered that holiness was found in children and babies and grandchildren and family and community and friends, in life cycle events, in the moments of birth and last moments of life, in weddings and in bat mitzvahs and in so many other celebration. It's there. It's at these moments, these sacred times where we find holiness. Many people replied that holiness is found in places in nature, in rainbows and glaciers and sunsets, in people and animals, and sunsets overlooking hiking trails when the sun shines through the trees, looking down at the awesome view in Bryce Canyon National Park, or looking at the Milky Way on a black night, that these are places full of sanctity. And some spoke of holy places where they have found sanctity. The sanctuary, Har Sinai, our home, Jerusalem, the Western Wall, just to name a few. Each of these are holy places. Each of these might be places where we can find holy space because of the experiences we've had within them, because of the Shabbat dinners with loved ones, the warm hugs, the celebration, the comfort, or the acceptance. This Torah portion begs us to think about what it takes to create a holy space. The Israelites are called upon to bring items of import, a sanctuary filled with beautiful things, each of which have depth of meaning and importance, from the gold which was gifted to them from the Egyptians who wanted to show kindness after 400 years of slavery, to the sturdy acacia wood from trees that Jacob had planted long ago. The difference in the answers that I received, the difference in the answers that perhaps we are coming up with silently in our minds at this very moment, and the long list of Jewish symbols incorporated into our holy spaces in this Torah portion speak to the diversity within our community and what a blessing that truly is. I will share with you a few more answers and a few more places in which we might find holiness. But before I do that, I want to turn it over to someone who is really special, who happens to be the son of our phenomenal educator, Randy Scher, her son, Michael Scher, to talk a little bit about what a holy space is for him. You see, Michael is someone who is blind, someone who is a giving soul, who is giving back and trying to find ways to be there for others who are finding their place in this world. And so I would love to just hear a few words from you, Michael, if you can unmute at this time.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So where I find my holy place is is any place that I'm surrounded by people, and for me, if people will basically all they have to and they come up to me and they say, "Hi, I'm so and so," and they come up and shake my hand, and I also find a holy space through music as well. Like, for instance, over the years, I have actually sang in several different adult choirs. I was at two different synagogues. I was in one Temple Menorah adult choir, and also after my bar mitzvah, I was actually in Ner Tamid's adult choir.
Michael, you talked a little bit with me about some of the places, some of the things that can make you feel really comfortable in a synagogue, that can help it to be a sacred place. Can you talk a little about that?
Like I said, some of the
talk about the things you do with music and that way in which you can be part of the service.
Like, I actually can play several different instruments and actually be a part of a band. Like when they do like a rock Shabbat, or when they do like a musical Shabbat. I have actually a couple of years I have actually played along with the band during the barbecue and barbecue service. It was actually the Beach Boys one we did, and I actually was a part of the band. I have my electric guitar with me, and it made me feel like I was like an addition to their band.
What about Torah and chanting Torah?
And the way that I read Torah is much different from how most people read Torah, because when I read Torah, I basically go through a service called Jewish Braille of America through New York, and I send them a copy of the portion, and they will put it into Braille for me so that I can read it alongside and put it in front of me with the Torah open. And normally it's hard to, normally it doesn't come with the trope. So I have a very, very, very close friend of mine that I've known for a long time, who's a Torah reader by the name of Rick Muller. I sent him the portion that I'm going to do, and he will basically put it onto a CD or send an audio file to my brother or my dad's computer, and by listening to him do the trope, that's how I get the Torah, Hop Torah trope, and even High Holiday Torah trope as well, and Megillah trope, which are very different from each other.
That's definitely true. It's definitely true. So it seems like for you, a holy space is one in which you can do everything and you can be given the time so that you can do it well and be a part of everything.
Yes.
I'm sure you have so much more to share with all of us. And I hope that there's going to be many, many occasions for you to do that, Michael. But I am just so grateful to you for sharing a little bit with us today. As we know, this month of February is a month where we talk about Jewish Disabilities Month, where we try to be mindful of everyone who comes with all different sorts of abilities, and where we want to really focus on creating a community in which every single person is welcomed and appreciated and uplifted for all the blessings they bring. It's clear that you, Michael, bring so many blessings. So thank you for being here and sharing some of your wisdom tonight.
You're welcome, and I look forward to actually doing this in person and actually bring your adult choir next time.
We will certainly talk. That is an awesome thing, Michael. We look forward to that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we see that inclusion can be a really big part of creating a sacred place. There are so many people within our community who, when they talked about holiness, when they talked about creating a sacred place, it was about reaching out our arms and embracing other human beings. Holiness can reside where people open their homes to one another in Louisiana and Texas when the power goes out and there's no water, even in the midst of a pandemic. Holiness can reside when we help one another and allow others to help us. Holiness can reside where human beings are striving to foster understanding and relationship, bringing healing and restoration, creating peace and harmony. Holiness can reside in the eyes of a homeless person that one of our members helped after providing unconditional love by giving them something as simple as a meal, a new pair of shoes, or an ear to listen. It doesn't take much to make a big impact in someone's life, and the rewards are palpable. Holiness can reside in the faces of medical professionals creating and distributing vaccines. Holiness can reside in the doctor who doesn't only treat the illness but also the patient with kindness and dignity. In the nun who comes to a hospital room and asks, knowing that we're Jewish, if she can pray for us. Her interest in the welfare of a total stranger of another religion is holy. Holiness can be there, one person remarked, when in the eyes of holiness can be there when someone is in need and I respond to them. If we go back to those holy words we read before from our parasha, Vasu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham, and let them make me a sanctuary that I might dwell among them, we see that there is something powerful in this last line. For the Hebrew doesn't say that I might dwell in it, in a building itself, but rather that I might dwell among them, among all of us, among all of the people. Holiness is something that surely exists within our temple. It surely exists in the light that comes through the stained glass and the feeling that we get when we are there, and it will again when we can go there. But holiness exists among us, within us, as a community, when we take the time to include one another, when we take the time to be there for one another. Rabbi Yechia El-Shtari taught, "The Holy One does not reside in the sanctuary on account of the temple, but does so only on account of the people Israel, for they constitute the temple of God." If there is anything that we have learned from this year, it is that yes, our spaces are holy, but it is what we bring to them that makes them holier still. Today, we strive to find holiness, both within our sanctuary and within any space in which we inhabit. We ask, how can I bring this holiness, this sanctuary into my soul? How can I be present and mindful and full of gratitude when we are in our holy spaces? Do we strive to forgive, to let go, and to be our best versions of ourselves? Holiness can be a state of mind, something that we choose. One community member responded to my question about holiness with this anecdote. "On a hard morning, I take a moment to say Modeh Ani," she said. "It's a moment of reflection, of asking God for help and guidance. In seconds, I find a little spark of calm or courage. Small moments can be very holy." On this Shabbat, this moment of holiness in time, let us strive to make a choice to find holiness in our homes, around us, in our interactions with others, and let us strive to transform all of our places into sanctuaries in which all of us and God can dwell.
God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asuli ושכנתי בתוכם ועשו לי מקדש ושכנתי בתוכם. God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true.
And I love how in the chat there are some comments relating to where all of us find holiness. I hope that later on in the service, when we go out into breakout rooms, that we can actually take a moment to talk with one another about where we can find holiness in our lives, within our community, and within our holy spaces. But right now, we take a moment to form a chuppat shalom, form this healing, protective environment where we offer the Misha Berach prayer for everyone in our minds, everyone in our thoughts who's in need of healing of mind, healing of body, and healing of spirit. And as some of you are already, I invite you to write the names into the chat of anyone who you are thinking of who can use this prayer. We're thinking about Sylvia Davis and Bruce Moose Begawan, Nuri and Letty, Marty Spiegel and Daniel, Judy Frankel and Tara Swall, Sarah Gill, Eric Hamburg, Tovia Ben Avraham, Reuben Moshe Ben Chaim Verivcha, Tim Palno, Nadine Wilkerson, Daniel Fisk, Stephen Rivas Skoll, Tamar Davidson, Pat Wade, and Sunny Felberg. For all the people who are listed in our weekly email list. Bob Reynolds from Rosewood Band, Tamar Davidson, Pat Wade, Sunny Felberg, and Bob Gold, Hillary Whittam, Reva Skoll, Josie and Stephen Gianetto, Jackie Barley, Joy Licht, Steve Schwartz, Phil Igner, and Gary Thorne, Sunny Felberg, Susie Felberg, Josh Montgomery, and Dennis Vollis, Sam Morris, Joanna Hamburg, Jennifer Hamburg-Roski, Patrice Fink and the Hermosa Finks, and anyone else in need of healing, Tony Weisberg, Bob Rips, Richard Sturm, Charlie Baltz, Pat Wade, Tamar Davidson, and all those who are struggling. Estelle Riker, Rita Wishkite, Judah Rosen, Sam Morris, Nicole Mean, the people of Texas, and we'll add to that the people of Louisiana who are struggling as well, Marilyn Ponsegi, Stuart Chernikoff, Richard Hurwitz, Jan and Richard Siroti. And for everyone else who is in need of healing, whether we say their names out loud or silently to ourselves, let us offer them this prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, God, whose healing presence is with all of those in need. And we all say, Amen.
Amen. We take time as well to remember people who have died in recent weeks. We're thinking about Cheryl Brand and Jim Grossman, Daniel Willens and Marvin Friedman, and Lawrence Terfansky. We also remember people who have died at this time in years past. We're thinking about Ray Abrams and Samuel Abrams, Ray Altman, Helen Astheimer, Maurice Evans, David Barnett, Edith Bell, Hinda Bloom, Esther Butler, Charles Coliff, Ruth Crone, Dr. Armand de Rico, Rachel Depry, Peter Frankel, Peter Finkrel, Minnie Finmark, Bronia Fishman, Helen Fox, Murray Franklin, Dorothy Ray Friedman, Israel Baruch Friend, Sandy Goldman, Frida Gould, Fanny Greenbaum, Yetta Grossman, Joel Harvey, Irv Hodes, Nathan Horn, David Neil Kelter, Olga Kent, Rose Kirschner, Morris Koningsberg, Bella Levin, Jesse Marin, Stanford Mason, Annette Miller, Lariz Peretz Alcazar, Harold Press, Helen Prisbelinsky, Andrew Reed, Jason Rumi, Bernice Schack, Benjamin Schneer, Julian Scher, Martin Scher, Ellen Bonnie Shera, Annie Schulman, Mildred Silverberg, Faye Sovlove, Louise Steidler, Jerome Stilberg, Sally Swain, Gussie Gittlethouse, Pauline Tyson, Esther Titel, Hannah Vasquez, Elizabeth Wields, Virginia Weingarten, Samuel Jacob Weinstein, Harold Wilkowski, Arthur Winnig, Rita Wilkin, Betty Kapner Yamron, and Meyer Zirkis. For all of these people whose names we've said aloud, for everyone whose names we are keeping in our heart, Larry Silverton, Ruth Crowan, and Marty Stein, and everyone who has no one to say Kaddish for them, let us offer the words of Kaddish together. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shmei Rabbah Ve'amad Yivrach Herutei Ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayachon U'vyomachon U'v'chayei Dekol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala U'vizman Kariv V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya Yit Barach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Dekudisha Barichu Le'ila Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbachata V'nechamata Damiram V'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom Bimromav Hu Yasei Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing.
Osei Shalom Bimromav Hu Yasei Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Osei Shalom Bimromav Hu Yasei Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Ha'olam Ve'imru Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And I want to offer my big thanks to Marvin Belzer, who has been our greeter tonight on Zoom and on Facebook. I think Hannah and Jody are winning the greeter competition on Facebook right now. Really, there's no competition. Everyone is just so warm and welcoming on Facebook right now, and I'm so grateful for all of you. And to Andrea Lawrence, who just celebrated her birthday and is here to give us some announcements. So Andrea, will you please offer them to us now?
Sure will. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And yes, I am Andrea Lawrence. I'm not only just honored to be here representing the board of directors, but really excited that pitchers and catchers have reported to spring training. So here are some of the upcoming services and programs that we'd love for you to participate in. So please join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. for our monthly meditation service with Cantor, Ilan, and Pam Tarlow. This service is a spiritual journey through the Shabbat morning with chants and guided meditations. And then tomorrow evening, beginning at an earlier start time, 6:30 p.m., mark that on your calendars, please join us for a special Purim Havdalah. In preparation for our totally rad 80s Purim theme this year, we'll be having a do-it-yourself grogger making party with supplies that you have around the house. In case you want to plan ahead, some of the supplies we'll be using are things like dried beans or pasta, popcorn kernels, small beads, and paper clips. You also need an empty paper towel tube, 2 clear plastic cups, or an empty plastic water or soda bottle, and strong tape. After grogger making, we'll be joining Rabbi Cassi at 7 p.m. for our weekly Havdalah service. And I'm also excited to remind you that next Thursday at 6:30 p.m., we'll have our Purim program called Masks, Megillah, and Mayhem. Put on a Purim mask and join us for a lively adult Megillah reading, followed by time to socialize and share a meal with your neighborhood connection. We have a special dinner fundraiser opportunity for you, our friends at Aristo Cafe in Torrance. Pre-order your dinner to be picked up at Aristo's, and you can feast on a delicious Lebanese and Greek dishes. No coupon needed. Just tell them you're with Temple Bethel, and we will receive the proceeds. Please note that your order must be received by Tuesday. All the details are in your Tuesday weekly email, or just send a quick note to Carrie at the Temple Bethel office if you want to get the details before Tuesday, seeing that the order needs to be in by Tuesday. And again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
So we're going to send you off to Oneg Shabbat now with each other. Remember, part of making this a mikdash, a holy place, is the people that are in it. A big part, probably the most important part. So spend this time together, and just even if you have a chance just to stop and say a quick hello to your group, and then bring your dinner, bring your oneg, bring whatever it is that takes you away, and just enjoy it with everyone else. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. You'll be whisked away at this time.